So thank you for being here for meditation. So in Patanjali's 8 limbs of yoga, there's 8. So the first 4 are more about external things we do to help ourselves. One of them being asana practice, a yoga practice on the mat. It's good for us. So it's something we do physically with our body, and the breathing we do with our body, and the ethical practices we have for our body and our mind. Of course, remember, it's all about the mind. And then the last 4 enter more into more meditative states. The first one being withdrawing from the senses. So that's why we often either close our eyes or softly gaze downward and just stop and we be still to go inwards. And that leads us to the last 3, which I'm going to talk about a little bit tonight in our practice. Let's just begin finding the comfortable seat. So this is asana. We're finding a comfortable seat. Asana means to sit with, to literally be here, to be still, and to sit with. Then we're going to do a little bit of pranayama just to settle the body. This is always good. And you can even, it could be as short as 5. So we're going to take 5. We'll take 5 deep breaths. Inhale through the nose. And exhale either through the nose or mouth. Okay, good. We'll do 4 more. I like breathing out through the mouth because you can slow it down, get all the breath out. And last one. Beautiful. Allow your breath to find its natural rhythm. Allow your arms to relax anywhere, your hands and arms anywhere, on the lap, most likely, but anywhere that feels comfortable. And so as we prepare now to be still and come into more of the meditative part of the practice, with the spine upright, and now the breath natural. And so the 6th limb is Dharana, meaning concentration. And so the mind on its own, or a part of our mind, the monkey mind, it's unruly. It's like jumping here, there, and everywhere. So we need to give the mind an object of focus. And of course, this doesn't have to be the breath. So you could be focusing on a candle. You could be focusing on, it could even be a picture of something like a deity, or maybe, you know, could be an ancestor. Maybe you have a picture of someone. You could use a mantra as a focus, an object of focus. Mantra is something you silently repeat in your mind. Okay, but we're going to use the breath. And so just noticing your breath flowing in and flowing out. We're just going to have a little bit of an experiment about the breath. So as you feel the breath enter the body through the nasal passages and then leave the body via the nasal passages. See if you can notice that your inhale is slightly cooler than the warmer exhale. And this is actually accurate because we breathe in the air and then there is the um, air exchange, the oxygen comes in and then the byproduct of that's carbon dioxide and comes out. And it actually is a little bit warmer. So just watch, notice, feel the breath, the temperature in the nasal passages. Let the breath be whatever it needs to be. So if a sigh breath comes along, like a gentle sigh, just let it be. If a yawn comes along, let it be. But just still watch. Now, at the same time you're watching it at the nasal passages, you might be aware of movement in your body as you breathe. So how the belly expands a little bit and deflates back on the exhale. You might feel a little bit of movement in your chest, the inhale expansion, and then the deflation, the contraction. So you can have awareness, even the breath is moving energy along your spine. So if you get very tuned in and practiced, you can actually feel movement there. You might feel it in the throat. Okay, but come back to the nasal passages. Okay, so if this is workable for you, just to fine tune where you're watching the breath, I often will instruct, and I was taught this by Michael Stone, is you could notice your breath anywhere. You don't have to be like one spot. But as an experiment tonight, this was taught to me through the Vipassana meditation technique, where you watch the breath just at the nostrils. It's just this very subtle sensation as the breath comes in. And so see if you just try it on. If it's too challenging, you want to go somewhere else with the breath, do so. But just as an experiment, just at the tips of your nostrils, see if you can focus there as your object of concentration, Dharana. And of course, it's quite natural before long your mind wanders, starts chatting about something. There's a narrative going on, maybe something about your day, the past, maybe a little bit of rumination, or the narrative going to the future. Sometimes this comes with worry and anxiety. And the moment you've noticed the wandering, you bring it back to the tips of your nostrils. Patiently, persistently. Okay, so Michael Stone would describe this as not necessarily this needing to keep your mind on the object, but more to do with developing the capacity to return. So it's inevitable the mind's going to wander. So when people say, I can't meditate, my mind's all over the place. Okay, that's all of us. It's that we can develop this capacity to return to the breath, the object of focus. Dharana actually becomes a discipline, not in a harsh way, but as a loving commitment. The practice of returning. So each time we notice we've drifted, we come back. Okay, and this becomes the ground that we develop to go into deeper states of meditation. And meditation, then these deeper states of meditation are the seventh limb in the eight limbs of Patanjali, Dhyana. Okay, so Dharana is more of a practice that we're doing, and then meditation arises from that place. It's when we actually can have sustained, focused attention. So Dharana is holding the mind steadily on one object, and Dhyana arises when that focus becomes uninterrupted for a period of time. Like a stream of oil pouring without break. It's just smooth, continuous awareness. We'll just come back to the tips of the nostrils. Okay, in the periphery, you're also having awareness of your body, just a noticing, attending to, a relaxing into. But Vipassana practice starts with Dharana. It's like focus on the tips of the nostrils. They actually would say, sit for 1 hour and do that, don't move. It's not easy. I don't necessarily recommend that approach. So Michael Stone describes Dhyana, which translates to actually the word meditation, but it's not the practice of meditation. Again, the state of meditation. It's about cultivating intimacy with experience, moment to moment. So it's less about effort and more about deep listening, deep seeing, and deep feeling without trying to change, fix, or control anything. So even as we consider the mind in all of this, the mind that's going to wander and then we bring it back, it's not about blocking thoughts, but seeing them clearly and not identifying with them. That's when we can get pulled into those habitual loops that maybe take us down that road again of the emotion we get caught up in. Dhyana is non-reactivity. So in those moments where we're just fully embraced in the moment with almost like no mind, in that moment, there's no mind. It is non-reactivity. This allows us to be present with discomfort or with joy without grasping or pushing away. It is being available to reality as it unfolds. So as you're noticing, again, watching the focus, the object of focus, the breath, maybe at the tips of the nostrils, but also again, sensing your body. Aware of your thoughts. And in your body, sometimes we get distracted. We might have one place or maybe it's more than one, but a place that calls us, draws us towards it. It might be some discomfort going on there. Maybe it's an issue we have and we can't quite get comfortable. We notice it without needing to fix it or change it in that moment. If it's strain or pain, we respond intelligently and move the body away from that. Otherwise, we sit with the discomfort. We just notice it. We're aware of it and we're aware of our breath. Okay? And then pick somewhere else where you're feeling fine. You're feeling pleasant. You're feeling like you're not even noticing it because it's just feeling easy. And you have aware of that. And you give neither one any, you treat them both equally. So you give neither one any more significance. Because often what happens is the place that's in discomfort, it's drawing us there. There's a narrative about it, like, oh, it could be like, oh, what's that? Or it could be, oh, yeah, that again. There's that narrative, there's the mind. But can we just be with the sensation of discomfort without the mind? Just simply be with it. And then the place that is just easy, we're barely noticing it, or it might even be pleasurable to be sitting and just still without any discomfort there. And also notice that. And both get the same. They go, they go, Okay. So we find this equanimity when the mind becomes more focused and concentrated, to have this more sustained meditative state of more moments of no mind. So just continue to sit still and notice and watch and allow and breathe and be. So Dhyana then becomes a practice of presence, the sustained open awareness that softens the self and allows for deeper connection. And then over time, with the practice of dhyana, that presence may dissolve even further into what's known as samadhi, the sense of oneness with what is. So, my friends, joining your hands together into Padma Mudra, which is the lotus flower hand position, hand gesture. So open the middle three fingers, peering into the diamond light. Om Mane Padme Hum. May the jewel within the lotus be realized. And then seal your palms together in front of your heart. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om peace, peace, peace. And I thank you for meditating with me, honoring the light within you. Namaste. Okay, so to just finish up here, and I have my singing bowl here. And this was something I never forgot in one of the meditation retreats I did with Michael Stone. And he would describe it this way, that when you come to sit in meditation and you're practicing dharana, the concentration. So you're concentrating right here at the top of the singing bowl, and you're doing your best to keep that focus, that object of focus. And it's practice. That's why this one's more disciplined, but it's not long. And the mind goes, ooh, and it goes off somewhere. And you go, okay, let's come back, focus again. And then the mind goes off here somewhere, woo, and then you bring it back. Okay. Sometimes the mind goes, who knows how long you've been gone and you don't realize it, and you come back again. You just keep coming back again. Okay. Then what happens? When you develop that, it turns into dhyana. You flip the bowl over. And now thinking of that same focus from the bottom of the bowl, well, guess what? When your mind wanders, it doesn't go as far. It's sustained in the container that you've created, and it just goes back down again. You start to notice it quicker and come back down. And that analogy, or the using that, always stuck with me. And I thought it was a great description of the difference between Dharana and Dhyana. Okay. So I hope that helps.